concept, but a lived experience. I'm your host, Thomas Scaria, a resilience coach, an ultramarathoner, and a relentless believer in the human spirit's ability to rise. This podcast is a companion to my book, Resilience+RISE 26.2 Transformative Miles to Unleash Your Marathon of Life Mindset. Each episode is a raw, unfiltered dive into the stories of those who have faced life's hardest battles and emerged stronger. Today, I have the privilege of talking to Janeen McCormick. She is the owner and the CEO of Beatone Fitness Brickyard, an award winning boutique fitness business in Utah. She's building a community driven brand from the ground up. But before we can go further, there is another story to Janine. She had a 30-year-old career driving business growth in medical device industry. She has been involved in sales. She has been, you name it, in the corporate industry, all the different tiers of what it is required to push it further. So, having such a successful business already where she was thriving, there was something which made her to pivot to Betone Fitness. As I tell in my podcast time and again, sometimes from our deepest of pain comes the highest of our purpose. Or it's through the wounds that we see the light shining. So, with this, Janine, welcome to Resilience+RISE, the podcast.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Wow, that's quite the introduction.
Pleasure. So, Janine, we had a talk before, and you have mentioned that you are having a very successful career in the medical device industry, in the sales category, and just pushing it out. And you were like one of the top rated entities in that particular field. But when we people look into the trajectory, people moved totally from, or you moved totally from that industry to something else, which was way different from what you have known. What was it that you went into Beaton and you said, "Oh, this is going to be my new look, my new face, and this is what my new element is going to be"? It doesn't happen overnight. So, what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've reinvented myself a couple of times. So I started out as a nurse after getting my bachelor's degree in nursing, and I was an ICU nurse.
Hmm.
And then I fell literally into the pharmaceutical world before transitioning into med device. So that transition wasn't that hard because I still thought I'm still striving for patient care. I'm just doing patient care instead of bedside. I'm doing it on the back end, right? So all of the devices that I used in the ICU, I'm now responsible for selling, market development, business development, so on and so forth. So going from medical device into the fitness world, maybe a little farther jump, but I have to say 30 years of experience set me up for success in the fitness world. I still feel like I help people from a physical and mental now standpoint. So I'm still caring for people, which is really interesting to me, right? But the business end of it is much different. Of course, everyone will tell you owning your own business is much different than working for corporate America. And you truly don't understand that until you're in it. And it is truly different.
Okay. But in our conversation previously, you had mentioned is that there were some challenges which made you to look towards being more healthier.
Mm. Yeah. So I am a 2-time breast cancer survivor. I was
Hmm.
first diagnosed in 2010. And then after a double mastectomy, re-diagnosed in 2014, which people always say, well, you had a double mastectomy. How does it come back? Medicine isn't perfect. All you have to leave is one cancer cell, especially in a very aggressive form of cancer, which I had. So, but now it's gone. My last treatment was in 2015. I have to say, yeah, I'm pretty excited too. Going through that changes you. It can't help to change you for the rest of your life. One, because you're reminded of what you went through physically on your body every day.
Mm-hmm.
Two, because anything that pops up, any aches or pains or anything that pops up, that's where your mind initially goes to.
Mm-hmm.
You have yearly checkups still. You find a lump or a bump, you have to go get scanned. I recently just got scanned this week for a lump or bump that was found. It's just part of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think going through that kind of traumatic experience, even though I had a very positive outlook on it, I never once got to know my cancer very well. It was
Mm-hmm.
always this external being
Of
that
course.
was, something that is happening to me, but it's not something that I am taking fully on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind was always very clear that I was going to be free of cancer and that this was just a blip on the radar. But it does get your priorities a little more in order. I actually traveled 5 days a week. I got diagnosed when I just had moved to Boston for a job, and I was traveling 5 days a week in 2 to 3 states every week. And I was, doing everything I could to start this new division for this company on this medical device. And that kind of took my mind away from that, as well as, things that are happening to you. I actually think it was happening for me. And I think that, everything that happens to you in life can be looked at something that's, as your title says, resilience, and helps you be more resilient and rise, right? And when I don't think I would have had the guts, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Very
to
good.
go out and recreate myself yet again, into something that is truly that I want to do. I want to create this, business in the fitness world. I want to create a culture. I want to create an avenue for people to have a career in fitness. And I think, the last 30 years have only helped me get here.
Wonderful. It gets to the next element is that, oh yes, in 30 years you believed you were successful and you were, but if you look, of course, you did mention is that when you're working on your own business, there is point wherein there is stress. But also, when you just mentioned that you are traveling around 5 days a week in three different states and trying working towards introducing this new element of the device to the different hospitals, etc. The stress, if you look at that time, because you mentioned a very powerful statement, I realized that life was happening for me, not to me.
Mhm.
And that statement, Janine, I think so that differentiates the victim martyr mentality
Mhm.
to somebody who takes the ownership.
Yeah.
So what's your thought on that?
Oh, it's so important to get out of that victim mentality and to take control and instead of reacting, respond to what's
Mm.
happening to you and for you. And I think that there's always going to be obstacles in your path. And it's how you view that obstacle and how you handle that obstacle with your thoughts and your feelings that make make everything. I was a big social drinker. My
Okay.
my drinking of choice was wine. I was considered a wine aficionado within my group, and I I had to stop because it was taking over all of my thoughts and my feelings. And I didn't even realize how much until I actually stopped drinking. So 3 years ago, I stopped drinking completely. And it's completely changed my life. Um, my anxiety, my depression, um, went away. Now, is it gone forever? No, but
Hmm.
I have a better grips on it and I understand how to manage that a little better now, but the alcohol was definitely exacerbating it. It's also given me a lot more time back because I was spending time, out in the bars or at dinner or at friends' house drinking. The next day was a hangover. I was trying to recover from that. So I wasn't exercising as much or eating as well. And my mental state wasn't as clear.
Hmm.
So I definitely could not be doing now what I'm doing if I was still drinking. Up until August of last year, I was working 2 jobs. So I had my medical device job because I am the type of person that feels I can do anything
Okay.
and everything. I always have.
Hmm.
So I'm going to
And yeah.
continue that, right? That's the mindset. And, Thomas, I found out I do have some limits. So I was managing a team of 18 people while I opened the studio.
Hmm.
And you don't know what you don't know when you start a new business, when you own your own business. There's no roadmap, there's no playbook. You're kind of developing that. Now, I thought going into a franchise situation, it would be a lower barrier to entry of owning your own business because they have the playbook figured out. They have all the operations, all the back end, right? What we didn't realize, or what I didn't realize, is that the playbook that B-Tone has was for Massachusetts. And Massachusetts, with 31 B-Tones in that state, it's a different launch when you are launching a studio. When you're launching in a mature market, your playbook looks very different than when you're launching in a new market. And I didn't understand that there wasn't a playbook for a new market
Hmm.
because for one of the first times in my life, I gave up control and I said, I'm going to let B-Tone is going to do this. This is B-Tone's launch. I'm going to follow their lead. They've done this. I was number 21. They've done this 21 times before. Again, most of them being in Massachusetts. Since then, they've even launched more in Massachusetts. But we learned very quickly that we needed more strategy around
Hmm.
our market in Utah. And how are we going to explain how B-Tone is different? This is a very saturated market with regards to fitness. Utah is a very physical state, right? We all do things inside so that we can excel outside on those mountains. And it's been a learning experience since we opened 18 months ago about some of the gaps that we've had. And so now I'm using all of those past 30-year experience to help me fill those gaps. And yeah, so the stress doesn't go away.
Okay.
The stress multiplies when you have your own business because it's yours.
But from what I'm just hearing is that you are still more in control because it's your element that you're working around.
Yeah. You control what you can control, and some things that you can't control, you have
Mm.
to let go. But there are some things that I am, someone the other day called me a bulldog. Once I get a hold of something, I don't let go.
Okay.
But sometimes in business, when you know that something's right and you have this experience and you have your gut telling you that you need to push and move forward with something, it's never steered me wrong. So every time I felt very strong that there's something that could help support me or help support my business or help support whatever it is, a team that I'm working on, that it's important to continue to push for that. So I'm still pushing to fill some of these gaps that we have. And I think the franchise has been, recognizing
Hmm.
that launching outside of the Northeast, launching outside of Massachusetts, the playbook does look different. So I'm creating what that playbook looks for me now,
Hmm.
because my plan is to launch many throughout the state. And yeah, we need to do it, a little better
Fantastic.
the second time.
So, guys, if you're in Utah or in the periphery of the Beaton, what Janine is functioning around, where exactly, where's your location?
Yeah, we're in the Brickyard area of Mill Creek,
Okay.
right next to Blacksmith Ice Cream, because everyone knows where that's at in Utah.
Okay, but again, guys, if you're somewhere around in that particular vicinity or anything, just go and check it out. And she directly mentioned this is for the mature audience. So if it is in your vibe that you want to see what else is possible, have a look, and perhaps it may be a different journey that you have been wanting to take, and it works around. But there's one statement which just came to my mind, whether you're talking about your journey with wine
Mm,
or taking on challenges, whether it has been in the medical device field or whether it has been in the field of starting something on your own, etc. There's a statement which is so true, is that no one will believe you until you believe in your own self.
so true.
What does that mean to you?
That's
And
just
especially after being a two times cancer
yeah.
survivor, or I would say is that you had that particular element, that challenge of cancer coming in.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that statement?
Oh, you undoubtedly have to believe in yourself.
Hmm.
And I don't know where that comes from. I have to be honest with you. I've believed that I could do anything my whole life. I came from a very um conservative family and a very
Hmm.
simple surroundings, living in the country, having horses, being in 4-H, if you know what that is part, animals were a big part of my life. And my grandma lived next door across the field. We had to go through a field to get to my grandma's house. We lived a pretty simple life. And it didn't matter what I did. I just took it fully on. Maybe it was came from my dad. My dad was an electrician and had a extreme work ethic. There was nobody that could say that, he didn't put his heart and soul into his job. And it was evident, from people that he worked with. But I guess I feel kind of that same way. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in, and I'm not going to just put part of my big toe in and test the waters and see how it goes. I'm putting my full body in and I'm going for it. And what's the saying? Go big or go home.
Perfect. Actually, this is such a beautiful segue to the next question that I just got into, is that you have been in a very competitive industry.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're still working towards providing the good services when you're in the health industry of helping people to work towards healthier regulations in their life. So with this, there I believe you just mentioned is that go big or go small. There's no element of just putting your big toe into the pond and checking out whether how cold or warm the water is. What were the other maybe three or four life lessons that you, when you look back, has made you, whether it is through walking away from the, I would say, the clutch of drinking, or it could be being cancer free, or jumping into something which was totally away from your comfort zone. So, what could be some of the life lessons that you have learned, maybe around two to four? of them that comes to your mind?
I would say the number one life lesson is that your thoughts control your feelings. And
Beautiful.
so when you're feeling anxious or you're feeling depressed or you're feeling out of control or you're feeling that you can't do something, that's a story that you don't necessarily need to believe. And it took me up until my late 40s that I really understood that I didn't have to believe everything my mind was telling me and that I could train my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I always say when I start down that path that, and owning your own business, I have to say you tend to go there much more often. Am I doing the right thing?
Of course.
Right? Is this going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anytime those pop into my head, which ironically in the last couple of days, for whatever reason, it has,
Mm-hmm.
I always say change the slide. Right? I've built lots of slide decks in my career, and I think changing the slide is something that's really important, just to get your mind out of that space and gratitude. Every time you have gratitude, you share gratitude with yourself, you think gratitude, it definitely, I have somebody knocking at my door.
You can just go and open it if you want. No,
Okay,
no
hold
worries.
on.
No, no,
Hold on 1 minute.
no, no, no worries. So, guys, over here we have just been hearing Janeen, her pivot from medical field to yes, but we are back.
I'm back. When you work from home, that's what happens. People knock at your door.
No, no worries, no worries. It happens to the best of us.
So controlling your thoughts controlling your feelings is key. Number one, I don't care if you take a 2-minute meditation. I use the Aura app a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a meditation on. Meditating regularly hasn't been something that I do. I know I need to, but I tend to meditate when I need it and
Mm-hmm.
not, I should be proactive in it. So don't do as I say. Don't do as I do as I say, I guess. And I think, changing that slide also means recreating yourself and taking a leap of faith into
Mm-hmm.
an arena that you want to go into. I knew I needed to stop drinking, but it was everything. I had a 147 bottle wine fridge. People came to my house for socialization. We had parties on the deck. We had barbecues that involved wine, and when you went out, it was a social occasion of always drinking. And I call myself a social alcoholic, because I could never just have one. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't just drink one and enjoy that. It always had to be, if one is good, three must be better. So,
Wow. Okay.
but that's kind of my mentality,
Yes,
right?
it
I
does
mean,
happen. Mm-hmm.
you could
Yeah.
have one pair of shoes, but instead of one pair of shoes, why not have a few? Might be
Choices.
better. So, anyways, I think if you know that something needs to happen, or if you know that something is going to improve your life, or you are going to be happier or challenge yourself, I think I say go for it. And you don't need to know all the answers.
Okay, that's a
That's
powerful one.
one thing. You have to have this idea. You have to have the faith in yourself, and you have to have the work ethic to go after it, but you don't need to know exactly how to get it done. It is amazing when you put your one foot forward at a time, what things will come out of the woodworks that you didn't even know that existed that could help you. I'm going to give an example. We met through Jenn Drummond
Mm-hmm.
and her summit series. And she fell into my life through a friend invited me to a book signing, the party that she had at her house. And I just reached out to her, and said, I would just like to get to know you better. And now she's helping me in ways that I didn't even know Jenn Drummond existed.
Well, thanks to
And
Jenn Drummond, we also got connected in that way, right?
that's exactly it. So it's like things, if you continue to control your thoughts and feelings, believe in yourself, put one foot in front of the other, move forward, things will take place and things will happen that you didn't even know you needed. And it's just amazing how the universe works that way.
Fantastic. And when we talk about the universe, let's talk about your current universe, the Beatone. What's happening over there?
You know, we are creating our own special place in Utah. And
Mm-hmm.
it's our B-tone, my B-tone is different than what B-tone is doing in Massachusetts, even though it's the same methodology, it's the same look and feel. But people are doing B-tone in Utah to support them on what they're doing outside. We have many examples of people who have added B-tone to their workout regimen who are now stronger on their bike rides. Their bike rides are faster. They are backcountry skiers and they're skinning up the mountain easier.
Mm-hmm.
They're bodybuilders and they're able to lift more weight safely. And it's because the B-tone, you know, what B-tone does is activate those stabilizer muscles that support your big muscles. And we use the big muscle groups in everything we do, biking, hiking, skiing,
Mm-hmm.
weightlifting, but we don't always focus on those small muscles. And those small connector muscles, stabilizer muscles are the ones that help us prevent us from major injury. I'll give a short little story. We have a client who's been coming to B-tone for about a year. She's an avid hiker. Her hiking has become absolutely resounding more stronger. She feels better when she hikes. She was hiking a very big mountain in Utah called Mount Olympus, and she was coming down and she heard a snap. She stepped on a rock and she broke her ankle in two places. She went to the ER. They were like, you're going to have surgery, non-weight bearing for 6 weeks. She was devastated and went to the orthopedic surgeon. And the surgeon said, your stabilizer muscles are so strong in your
Mm-hmm.
ankles, you don't need surgery. She didn't have surgery.
Okay. That's
So,
amazing. Okay.
yeah, you know, I think moving your body and staying active, the key is whether you come to B-tone or you go someplace else, find what that is for you. Find your tribe, find the culture of the studio, find your community that keeps you coming back. Because she joined B-tone, you know, she actually drives quite a distance to come to B-tone. But once she found it, she came on our 2-week intro offer, which is $39. So it's a low barrier to entry in coming to work out with us. But she stayed because of the community, because it's a really, truly authentic, supportive environment that people have just started to build upon. You know,
Okay.
it was a dream of mine to have an environment where you didn't have to have your hair and makeup done when you came into the studio. I'll never forget the first time I came into the studio without makeup. Someone asked, who's that? And they were like, that's Janeen. They were like, what? So, you know, we want an environment that don't have to look a certain way to do Pilates. I think Pilates has a bad rap in that it's created this Pilates style body that everyone has to have to do Pilates, and you have to look a certain way and be a certain age and wear a certain thing or whatever that is. That's not at us at all. You can come looking however you want to look, and everybody will support you in the studio. You'll find people shouting out to each other in the studio, providing support during our workouts. Frankly, so many people stop and mingle afterwards. We're grateful that we have a coffee shop that just opened up next to us. So
Ah, ice cream place also.
take and the ice cream store. Well, so we have many places that people have gone to just grow their relationships, and we found new friendships. You know, as a woman later on in life, it's it's interesting in developing relationships, especially when you move. I've lived in 8 states. And
Okay.
so I had to create new relationships. The studio has been a place where I have found that I've created some very strong friendships. And we want that to be a place where you come to meet new, like-minded, new people, authentic people, supportive people. So we are really making our niche here. We have a lot of people that come to the studio that say, I didn't even like working out before I met you.
Okay.
I never have found the place that I really want to come back to. Yes, the workout is outstanding. You see results quickly from the workout. It's supportive for your joints. It's activating your muscles. You're getting stronger. You're building more muscle mass, which is
Wonderful.
also really important to women later on in their life. And it's kind of all the rave right now, right? Women
Fantastic.
lifting weights, women lifting heavy weights,
Mhm.
building muscle. It's definitely a focus that people have started pounding that drum on. It's important, right? Our muscles support us in so many things that we do with our
Of
metabolism,
course.
everything, right? So, but you don't necessarily have to lift heavy weights. I think it's good if you can, if that's what you choose to do, but
Mm,
are alternatives to helping you gain muscle mass and muscle strength.
fantastic. So, Janine, so guys, I'll be putting down Janine's information about Betone and how to get in touch with her. So, Janine, thank you so very much because in this conversation, what I've had the privilege is seeing a rare perspective actually about what it takes to build up not only your business but also building up people, making them more healthier, creating a community. And this is very much what is required in today's tumultuous world.
Mhm.
A community that works together, be more healthier, and work towards a common goal. So, Janine, with this, thank you so very much for your space and time. It has been a fantastic conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's such an honor, Thomas. Being a part of your resilience and rise, and I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.